Overly aggressive and precipitous. That's what Jules Kroll calls S&P's decision to downgrade America's AAA credit. You probably recognize Jules for his career in private investigation and forensic accounting, but he has since started up his own credit ratings agency. He's chairman and CEO of Kroll Bond Rating. He's joining me and Peter Fisher here. So, Jules, why the S&P not doing the right thing by downgrading America's credit rating, given the fiscal mess we're in and the gloomy picture out in the years ahead?
They're engaging in lurching-like behavior in order to restore the credibility that they have that's so badly damaged. I think it's important to put these things in two different buckets. One is the ability of any of these credit rating agencies, including our own, to do the kind of quality work you need to do to take such an important decision. And I question the ability of any of the rating agencies to do this level of complexity of work. The second thing is, why jump into this so precipitously, having nothing to do with the substance, but why are they behaving like this? And I feel it's an attempt to restore credibility that was shredded over the last couple of years.
Peter, what do you think?
Well, I certainly share the sense that this seemed a sort of aggressive action, and they got themselves a little wound up inside the Beltway. On the other hand, I go back to when I was Undersecretary of the Treasury. You could have made a case that our long-run fiscal outlook was pretty bleak here in the United States in terms of our expenditures way outweighing the revenues that are likely to come in. So I think the point you're making is a good one about how the substance of the decision, you could make it on a couple of grounds. Do you think there's no basis for knocking down some of the sovereigns that are really exposed, like in Europe or here in the United States, the sovereigns that have the big fiscal burden out into the future?
Of course there is. I think there's a lot of uncertainty. The question is, who's doing the work? What are the quality of the people? I'd rather have my analysis done, frankly, by BlackRock than I would by some of these gangs that haven't been able to shoot straight for years.
But, Jules, you raised the question about whether credit rating agencies or companies or firms or whatever you want to call them should exist at all, because people like BlackRock are doing the credit analysis every day. They're the ones deciding how much Treasury bonds are worth. They're the ones deciding what kind of credit default spread to put on America's ability to pay back its obligations. If that's the case, right, if you can assess the credit risk of the United States by virtue of, say, the 10-year Treasury yield or the CDS spread, what role do you have to play?
Well, first of all, I'm not saying they shouldn't exist. I came out of retirement to go into this industry to reform it, because I think the work that's been done has been really shabby, as we've seen, contributed to the financial crisis. And so I think what you need is a variety of good work being done that is transparent, that is clear, that is not out of some black box, but takes serious people that make their work transparent and open. And I think what you want is different voices speaking to these issues. My problem with S&P isn't that they shouldn't have a point of view, but on what basis did they do it? What is the timing as to when and why they do it? And I think you combine it with these different voices. The reaction to S&P, who elected S&P? Who put them in a position they should be taken so seriously? And I think that responsibility is too weighty for any one of these credit rating agencies. I do support the idea of being a credit rating agency. After all, I've spent a lot of time in the last couple of years and a lot of my personal money to go into that industry.
Do you think rating agencies should focus on sovereigns at all, or should rating agencies just focus on corporate credits?
I think they should focus on corporate credits. I think it's too complex. I think the quality of the people you need. After all, they have 80 people to cover 100 countries. 80 people. It just isn't enough real firepower, and yet we see that their voice has disproportionate weight. It's the reason we have not emphasized the sovereign area at this point. I'm not sure whether we ever will.
Jules, thank you for joining us.